Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about in-season recruiting. I'm talking about from August to November, how we go about recruiting during that time, what the timeline looks like, so that way you get a proper idea, proper expectations, and that way you can absolutely crush it. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Trent Lohr. I'm a former college quarterback. I played at the NA and the junior college level, and now I run Your First Scholarship, where we help families get their first scholarship and more. So let's dive into it. It's going to be unedited, raw, so take what you can from it. So in season is different from every single time because coaches are busy during this time. They're always busy, but they're especially busy because they're just focused on winning games, and that's their number one goal. Coaches are not getting fired or hired. Some are getting fired and hired based on their recruiting, but ultimately their number one metric is wins. And so that's the time where they make their money, is they get wins, they win championships and everything. So you have to realize that coaches are busy during this time. But the timeline, I'll take the timeline through first, is during that month of August, very slow. Fall camp's going on. They're very busy just prepping for that first game of the season. So your interest is going to be lower. Not a lot of scholarship offers are going to be given out through this time. Then we get to September. Once we get to like week 3, week 5 of the season, things start to pick up. Coaches are more active. They start to get bye weeks. So that's when they go out, travel, start to recruit a little bit more heavily. And then as the season goes on, again, more focus on recruiting as we get closer to signing day, especially that early signing day with some of the D1 schools being really pushing for that. And now it's moved up to, I believe, earlier December. And then finally, once you get to around November, like that last week of the season hits, that's when recruiting really happens, because the NAs, the D3s, the D2s, even the FCS schools are able to go out, visit. They start sending out a bunch of offers because that is their main push from November to February to finish out their signing classes and get everything locked up. So that's what the timeline looks like. Now, the things to keep in mind here, again, you have to realize that coaches are insanely busy. So you have to make it super easy for them to recruit you. Otherwise, they're not going to take the time to do it. You have to think about your schedule during the season. I mean, obviously you have class from probably 8 to 3, then you have practice afterwards. But like for coaches, they have meetings in the morning, they have meetings throughout the day, and then they have practice, and then they have meetings after that. And they don't have a lot of time to watch film, to evaluate stuff. And so you don't want to make it super hard to where a coach is going to have to spend 5 to 10 minutes evaluating you. You want to make it easy so it takes 1 to 3 minutes. This makes it more of a chance they get more of their time, get more time evaluation, and more likely that you get interest, you get a response back. You also want to make sure that you're constantly getting in front of coaches. So you don't want to just do one thing one time. You want to do multiple things multiple times. I call it omni-channel recruiting, but it's just going across different ways. You want to use Twitter, you want to use email, you want to use as many possible forms of communication as possible. So that way you can get in front of these coaches multiple times and you can constantly pop up in front of them. So that way they're like, oh shoot, I saw that Trent kid once. Oh, I really like this film actually. Here, let me send a response back to him real quick. Because sometimes, he's watching your film and then boom, he gets interrupted and you just don't get a response back, unfortunately. And then multiple times, because sometimes the college coach, again, same thing. Maybe he saw your Twitter DM, liked your film, but then you send him another Twitter DM, boom, you get the response that time. We actually see with our emails, the number of emails that we send, the more replies that we get. We have campaigns where the 3rd, 4th email got the most replies. And this isn't with NAIA schools. This is with D1 FBS schools. So this stuff works. And then on top of that, you just want to make sure that you're keeping people updated with your season. They're not going to just stay tuned randomly. Make it easy for them to stay in touch with your stuff so that way they know what's going on. You don't have to send them your schedule because most likely coaches won't come to your game. That only happens usually with their big recruits that they want to just lock down. But you definitely want to keep in touch with any stats, any big moments that are going on. If you're playing in state championships, stuff like that, just because they want to stay in tune to that stuff, but it's hard for them to do it because they've got their own stuff to take care of. But the biggest thing with in-season is this is the time where you close deals. This is where you get scholarships, especially towards that back half end. And so you just want to make sure that you're staying in touch with these coaches. You shouldn't get interest 1 week, and then just ghost them for the remaining weeks and then pop up in November and expect a scholarship offer. It's going to be a constant process of proving that you deserve that scholarship offer once you get towards the end of the season. Otherwise, there's a good chance that they forget about you, they pass up on you, or they find someone else that they're more interested in. And if you're staying in touch with them week after week, then it becomes very hard for them to not want to offer you, because they've seen you so much. They've seen and heard a lot of good things about you. And so they probably have you in mind when it comes time to finally offer you. So that's the biggest things about in-season recruiting. The biggest focus, though, is, as usual, relationships and exposure. Just making sure you're focusing on relationships, following up, building those relationships, having strong, meaningful relationships, having phone calls, having conversations. And the second piece is making sure you're getting more coaches interested in you, providing them new video, because now we have a ton of video with highlights coming out every single week, and you're just keeping them up to date on how you're playing as a football player, so that way they can take your talents and make their program better and get more wins the following season. So that's how in-season recruiting goes. That's how you should crush it. Pretty short one today, but I just wanted to make it super value packed, so that way you could just crush it. So hopefully you got something from this. If you did, be sure to subscribe, like, and if you want daily emails to your inbox on more stuff like this, check out the link below. Peace.